All right, everybody. Looks like we are live here for the HotLap. And boy, do we have an exciting show for you guys today. I've done a little bit of upgrades here. I've reworked my music stuff to talk to my webcam and my computer that I had no idea worked. So I've rigged that all up, and I think we have a little bit better setup for this going forward, and I'm going to try to improve it. So no more FaceTime with the phone. So got a little bit more going on here as far as this episode goes, and hopefully I will be able to upgrade a little bit more and get even more cool stuff going for this show. Again, this is the Hot Lap. My name is Ryan Stevens. I'm your host of this show, and this is a show where I just sit down and I talk about the races from last week. I call out who ran well, talk about some of the wild moments out there, and see your comments and chat with you all, the racers and the fans. So that's what this show is all about. If you prefer a more traditional podcast with guests and all that, make sure you check out the Pit Pass podcast that me and Adam No Lowry do on Saturdays from the racetrack. If you didn't catch it this Saturday, we had Jason Lester, driver of the number 7 Pro Truck, and Derek Pugh, driver of the number 3 Pro Truck. Both those guys were factors in the race on Saturday, but they were live on our show before race time. We got to know them a little bit, which was nice because we don't get to see the Pro Trucks all that often at New Smyrna, and it was great to have them back on the track, and they put on one heck of a show. And that gives us a lot to talk about this week, and we had a beautiful night for racing, a great crowd. Big thanks to everybody who came out, all you fans, all you drivers, all you crews, everybody that works at the track as well. We appreciate everybody who was there. And see John McCormick, he just watched the heat race. You know, John, I was going to talk about the heat race for the Bombers because that might have been the most exciting race of the night. So, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But good to see John on here. He's one of our Bomber drivers. So yeah, let's get right into what was one hot night at the racetrack, not just in the air, but on the racetrack as well. So of course we had the Pro Trucks with us for their Pro Truck 50. First time we've seen them this season. We're going to have them there for Father's Day weekend. Of course, Mother Nature won that one, but this was the first time the Pro Trucks got to race. A good field of trucks, 14 of them. They all survived practice. They all made the start, but it was the 84 of Bill Van Devender who set fast time in qualifying. And let me tell you guys, that is one heck of a name. For anyone that was there at the racetrack, I was struggling with that name all night. I'll let y'all in on a little secret on Saturday. After the podcast that I did with Adam, I had planned to run across the street and grab something to eat. And unfortunately, by the time I got over there, it was late. And I like to try to be back and up in the booth by 6 to get ready to call the action so everything's good to go. And I got over there kind of late, only to find the card machine was down over there. I didn't get any food. I didn't eat anything since about noon on Saturday. Then I went out into the pits in the heat. So the end of the night, I'll admit it, I was struggling with names and just to even make sentences. So, but that's all part of the game. So I struggled. I couldn't even look at that name, Bill Van Devender. I couldn't look at the name and read it. Now I can just sit here and say it all night long, of course, but hey, that's the way the game goes. But anyways, he set fast time in qualifying. We had an invert of 6 after some post-qualifying technical issues. Some of the top guys were sent to the back, like Jason Lester, Donnie Burkhalter. That made it a lot of fun to watch those guys come from the back. But after the invert and after all the DQs in qualifying, Leroy Moore Jr. started on the pole. And, of course, it didn't take long for the action to get going. We talked to the guys on the podcast, and they said their biggest fear was just getting through the early stages, trying to get through it without any wrecks, without any incidents. And, of course, we go down into turn number 1 on lap 1. Big pileup that took out outside pole sitter James Jackson. John Kunzbeck was involved, Todd Brown, and Jason Lester all got torn up in that. So a big wreck to start the race. Somehow, some way, despite all the damage to some of the trucks, everybody was able to continue from that, but it did take some guys out of contention. Jason Lester, his car went from looking like Scooby-Doo to Scrappy-Doo in turn 1 on lap 1. And he tried to get back up through the field, but I think the damage kind of slowed him down. His truck was shedding parts throughout the race, and he charged up to about 4th or 5th, but could never really get any higher than that. But it was fun watching Jason fly through the field with half a truck. It entire right side of the truck was ripped apart, and it's kind of cool to see what's underneath those trucks from time to time. But I think that wreck on lap one definitely affected Jason, and it really opened up the field um, for some surprises. And Derek Pugh, man, oh man, no pun intended, but he kind of stunk up the show a little bit. He got out front, and he was untouchable. And we talked to him on the Pit Pass podcast, and he was just like, I'm trying to run a balance here without tearing up my stuff or using up my stuff too early. And he got out to a huge lead, and just after halfway, we had a spin on the backstretch with the 84 of Van Devender and the 24 Donnie Burkhalter. And when that caution came out and bunched up the field, I wondered if the 3 car was going to slow up a little bit, or if he had used up his stuff. And after the race got back going, he took off again and just ran away from everybody. It was impressive. Now, I know a lot of people want to see beating, banging leaders door to door, switching the lead back and forth, but sometimes it's impressive and entertaining to see a youngster like that whoop up on the field unexpectedly. Now, again, we don't see the pro trucks a whole lot, so wasn't sure what to expect out of some of these guys. I expected Rodney Haddock to go out there and dominate and have to fight off the 24 and the 7. But Derek Pugh, he got out front and he ran away with it, and he ended up winning. But we had a great battle for second spot between Becca Monopoly and the 31 Rodney Haddock. Becca came home in second and passed Rodney with about a lap to go. I will try to turn up the microphone here. I did a test and it seemed to be coming through okay, but let me adjust some settings here to see if we can get some better volume if you guys are having trouble hearing me. Give me a second here. Turn up the gain just a little bit. Hopefully that's a little bit better for some of you guys who might be listening on some other speakers and stuff. But again, new setup here, so working out the bugs. Appreciate you. If you guys can hear me a little better, let me know, and I'll try to keep it at the setting from now on. So again, a great pro truck race. Derek Pugh surprised everybody, takes home the win in dominating fashion, and Becca Monopoly, a heck of a battle with Rodney Haddock at the end to come home in second. So again, great to see the pro trucks back out there. We have them a couple more times on the schedule this season. Hopefully we'll have them more next year in 2019. I know there's a lot of changes coming up for 2019. Rusty Marcus has been taking a lot of things into consideration, perhaps adding more to the schedule, different divisions, readjusting some things. So it's going to be interesting to see what 2019 holds, but we will see the pro trucks some more for 2018 as well. So moving on, we had the American Auto Sportsman guys in town, and a great field of sportsmen came out to play. We had 19 cars take the green flag in that race, and I honestly thought it was going to be a wild one. I thought we were going to see some torn up stuff, but did they not go wire to wire, green to checkers without a single issue? And that really played in the hands of Preston Hunt, who is making just his second sportsman start. And he won the heat race going away. He comes out in the main event, gets to start on the pole. Now, I'm not going to take that away from him. You get to start up front, you got to take advantage, and he did. And he jumped out to a huge lead, and Patrick Thomas, Matthew Green, they really had to fight from middle of the pack and really had to earn their way up towards the front. And without the aid of a yellow flag, Preston Hunt got so far out in front, and he's driving the 51, which we used to see Butch Hertigan wheel. And we know Butch is a good driver, and we know that car is fast, and Preston just hopped in there. And after not such a great debut, after getting caught up in a wreck, his second race went a lot better. He ended up dominating, taking home his first career win in the Super Stock. So he's got, or in the Sportsman. So he's got a Super Stock and a Sportsman win this year. So Preston Hunt coming back to New Smyrna Speedway with a vengeance in multiple divisions. So again, Preston dominated to get his first career win, and he beat one of the best, Patrick Thomas. Thomas came home a distant second, pulled up to Preston in victory lane, showed some sportsmanship there, gave him congratulations. And then we had Matthew Green coming home in the third position. Quick point update, Patrick Thomas does lead the points by 59 over Jason Vale now, who was back, but testing out his Pensacola car, really just kind of running mid-pack, trying to keep the car clean. So Vale not really competing as we are used to seeing him, but he did move it up to second because Steve Barnes had a flat tire late in the race, and Steve has dropped to third. He is 60 points behind. So Patrick Thomas has built up quite the point lead, and he's dominating again, like we've seen in years past. Even with the up-and-coming competition that we've seen out of Matthew Green, now we got Preston Hunt in the mix. So we've seen it go from a big 4 to a big 2, but now we got Preston Hunt, Matthew Green in there, so you can throw those guys in the mix on any given week. And it'll be interesting to see if somebody else can break into victory lane going through the rest of the season. But right now, Patrick Thomas looks to have things in hand. He just needs to be there with a few races to go for the Sportsman still. Anything can happen. 60 points seems like a lot, but if Thomas has some bad races or whatever, we could see Steve Barnes close back in, and we could have a championship battle before it's all said and done. We did have the modifieds with us, and a short field of cars. We have a 50-lapper coming up for them next weekend, so hopefully we see more cars. But this race, kind of the theme of the night was domination, and we saw the 1W Wayne Parker dominate this race. He kind of played around in the heat race, which was won by Alan Bruns. But when Wayne got out there for the feature, I wasn't concerned during the heat race. I'd seen him do this before. He's not running for points, so I think he just comes out for the heat, shakes it down, makes sure it's good to go for the feature, and then he comes out and turns it up. And that's what he did. He got out in front, never looked back. So Wayne Parker takes his second victory of the season over Alan Bruns. Matt Thornton came home in third. And Jerry Simons was not in attendance for the first time this season. Simons has had gremlins the past couple of weeks, and they took this week off. Hopefully we'll see him back for the 50-lapper, but Simons had a big point lead coming into this, and with taking the night off, he's actually lost the point lead to Alan Bruns. Alan Bruns now with a 9-point lead over Jerry Simons in the 66, and then 22 points back in third is Matt Thornton. So the modified point race, it looked like it was going to be all Jerry Simons, even despite all the trouble he's had. We haven't had a whole lot of guys running every single week, so this has brought the playing field back together a little bit. Alan Bruns out in front. We'll have to see if he can hang on. I know as of late, Alan hasn't really committed to running every single race. He's been to a majority of them this season, and with Simons missing the event, he does find himself in the point lead now. So we'll have to keep our eye on the modified point race. I expect to see Jerry Simons back with the 50-lapper coming up, and we should have a bigger field of cars for the 50 this coming weekend. Super Stocks were also in action, one of my favorite classes, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know. But it was, again, another dominating performance by Mike Amato. He didn't really run away with it, but he led most of the race. Big crash in this one for the 16, David Gould. He was fighting for about 4th or 5th with John Hodge. John appeared to cut a tire down, and just wrong place, wrong time for David Gould being on his outside. Gould went hard into the turn 3 wall for the second week in a row, and Gould was relegated to a last-place finish with the contact, and he's got work to do to get that car back together for the second week in a row. And luckily, Superstocks are off next week, so he'll have some time to work on it, but it's a shame because David's been a contender week in and week out and just has really had some bad luck. It all started with a DQ a couple of races ago, and now 2 wrecks in a row. So Gould's strong start to 2018 is kind of tampered off here this summer, but again, a couple of wrecks, not really of his own making. And but hey, that's racing, and that's what's going to happen sometimes. But it was Mike Amato taking his 4th victory of the season over Bobby Holly and Travis Sukup, coming home 2nd and 3rd. And now Mike Amato has a 19-point lead over Dale Howard, who has been consistent. We haven't really seen him battle for wins this season, but Howard has been there week in and week out. He's been consistent, avoided a lot of trouble, and we've seen Amato have trouble. So if the 2X does have some issues, Dale Howard going to be right there, try to close in and capitalize. John Hodge now sitting 3rd in points, just 23 back. Still a lot of races to go for the Superstocks. I know we're getting into the second half of the season now, but just because somebody has a 20-point lead or whatever doesn't mean that it's over. But Amato looking strong again, picked up his 4th win of the season. So Mike Amato could be well on his way to a championship, but still got to run these races and see how it all plays out. We had a nice field of bombers in attendance for the race tonight, and as John said at the beginning of the show, he watched the heat races. The videos have come up online, and he watched the heat race, and man, did they put on a show during the heat. And we kind of threw the bombers a curveball when we wrote up the schedule. They had their heat race and then had to turn right back around and come on out and run their feature. And they put on a heck of a show in the heat. I'm like, did somebody forget to tell these guys that this is just the heat race? This doesn't pay any money? everybody was going for those 5 championship points like it was $500. It was fun to watch, but things got a bit chippy out there, and thankfully everybody survived. We had 10 cars on the grounds. 9 cars were able to start the feature. We had 1 car with issues in practice. It was one of our newcomers who was trying to make their first start, but they had some issues in practice. So 9 cars took the green, and we had a big wreck early on between the 44 of Jared Zabel. I may be saying your name wrong. If I am, you guys can let me know in the comments, or Jared, come find me in the pits, or I'll come find you. Make sure I'm saying your name right. But Zabel and Mike McCormick got together out of 4, and they bounced off each other a couple times. Looked like Jared was going to save it, then he overcorrected, went through the mud on the front straightaway and got the wall, and he was not happy. If you go back and watch the highlight reel or the video, you'll see him inside the car. He was not a happy camper. Just got a fresh coat of paint on the car, and now he's got tire marks down one side and damage on the other. So tough break for Jared there. Mike McCormick was able to continue, but was not the same afterwards. But once things got going, the second half of the race was much cleaner, and Dan Webb, the spinning spider, as we like to call him, got back out in front and took home his 5th win of the season and extends his point lead to 21 over John McCormick. John had trouble with his number 52 machine and fell back through the standings a little bit. So not a good night for John McCormick, but a great night for Dan Webb, and I think he might graduate from his nickname of the Spinning Spider to the Winning Spider. So we'll have to see if that sticks or not. But if Dan can go out and get another win, maybe I'll consider a permanent switch from Spinning Spider to Winning Spider. So there it is. I throw out the challenge for you. So the Bomber top 3, after it was all said and done, Dan Webb came home first, Michael Scannell was second, and Shane Satoris came out and finished in the top 3. We call him the Pizza Man. He comes out with the Papa John's pizza thing. I don't know what you call those things, but the things the pizza guys put on the roof. He had one of those, and he was slipping and sliding, putting on a heck of a show. So it was good to see Shane out there, and he was really battling just to be able to get to race. He was having some issues with the weight of the car. He went through tech a couple of times, had to get some help from fellow competitors to get weight in the car to get it right, and he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to run or not, and thankfully he was able to, and put on a great show out there. So good to see Shane out there. The Pizza Man is back. Hopefully we see more of Shane as he, in my opinion, adds to the program. The more we can get out there, the more guys who aren't afraid to go in there and just drive the car sideways. That puts on a great show. So hopefully we can get more of these Bomber guys to come back out. But it was a good resurgence after a couple of weeks of 4 or 5 cars. We had 9 of them start the main event, and it was fun to watch. The Bombers, always fun to watch. You never know what you're going to get. We had a Mustang out there. We had a Pizza Man out there. We got a Spinning Spider, who's now a Winning Spider. That's the Bombers for. We got a roller skate finishing in second. So that's what makes the Bombers so much fun. So that's going to cap it off for the recap. We did have one more race after the Bombers. It was the American Auto Sportsman Dash for Cash. Thanks to Atlanta's Contractors for that. But Matthew Green won that race going away. Green started dead last on the field and quickly worked his way through the field and won the Dash for Cash in dominating fashion. It's just a matter of time before Matthew gets up there and wins a feature. Wouldn't be surprised to see that happen in the next couple of weeks. So that will wrap it up for our recap for Saturday. Great night of racing in all the divisions. It was a lot of fun. There wasn't a single race that didn't provide something. So, yeah, even the modifieds. The modifieds were good. I mean, sometimes watching Wayne Parker just go out there and dirt track that car and just dominate like he does, it's still exciting to see how fast that Boyd Tech number 1 can be. So up next, we have another big week coming your way. This weekend, we have the super late models back in town. We have the modified 50, so hopefully we get some more modifieds. Hopefully Jerry Simons will be back. Wayne Parker should be there. Maybe we can get Ricky Moxley back out there because those 3 guys will go tooth and nail for the win. Hopefully Robert Deal will come back out, and we can have some real competition in the modified division. So modified 50, we're also going to have twin features for the mod minis. So double features for the mod minis. And from what I've been hearing online, we're going to have a heck of a field. Probably our biggest field of the year for the mod minis, at least for one race anyways. As long as they can all survive race number 1, they can come back out for race number 2. And when we have double features like that, that is the danger. If you go out there and wreck in feature 1, you're done for the night. Your point season could be done. So it's going to be a sketchy night for those guys. They've got to survive race 1 to even make it through race 2. And we normally see one race is wilder than the other for one reason or another, And in my opinion, if it's going to get wild, hopefully it's the second one so they can all get out there and start. So on top of that, we're going to have, of course, the Bombers. They'll be back, and the Ground Pounders of Florida will be back as well. So those vintage race cars, for those of you who like the old school cars, the Ground Pounders will be back to wrap up the program as well. So a lot of great divisions of racing, super late models, modifieds, twin mod mini features, Bombers, and Ground Pounders. And then we're going to have the Dollar Land Sharks and Dollar Hot Dogs for our early bird special, we're going to call it this week. So Dollar Land Shark drafts and Dollar Hot Dogs until 7:30 or until supplies last, but the cutoff going to be 7:30. So you got to come out early, hang out with us early. We'll have some fun, have some cheap food, some cheap beer, and all that good stuff. So again, that's going to be our early bird special this week till 7:30. Dollar Hot Dogs and Dollar Land Sharks. Also, we're going to have open practice on Friday, August the 10th from 6 to 10 p.m. Pit gates are going to open at 5. So that is open practice. All divisions are welcome. So if you want to come shake down a super stock, even though they're not racing Saturday, you're more than welcome to do so. Ground Pounders can come out as well. Every division welcome. So again, practice Friday the 10th from 6 to 10. Gates open at 5 for that. $15 a person to get in the pits for that night. One other bit of news for you guys. It is August, and that means back to school. Sorry, kids. I know it's a disappointing time, but with it being back to school, Andrew Hart is going to have his back to school backpack drive once again this season. So if anyone brings in a new backpack, they'll get $5 off admission. And of course, you should be doing it for more than just the $5 off admission. The backpacks go to needy kids. I know those things can be expensive. You don't have to go out and buy a crazy expensive JanSport or whatever, but just a nice new usable backpack to help kids in need. Help with the charity. Help Andrew with this drive. It's very important to him. So again, if you do bring in a new backpack, if you got an extra one sitting around you haven't used, or your kids don't like it or something, bring it onto the racetrack, and we'll give you $5 off general admission for helping with Andrew Hart's backpack drive. And there will be free haircuts for the kids as well, so the kids can get their back-to-school haircuts thanks to Denise Marie. And so she'll be there from 6 to 8 to give free haircuts to the kids. And I wonder if I shave off my beard, I can get a haircut. I'm kind of in need of one. It's getting a little long. It grows too dang fast. So maybe I might try to shave my beard and sneak in as a kid and get a free haircut. But again, lots of fun things coming up this weekend. Great racing. Some great early bird specials for those of you who like to come out early. I love it when practice is going on. I see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fans just sitting up there watching practice. So again, come early, come have some fun. Bring a backpack, get $5 off admission. Your kids can come get a free haircut. So there's something for everybody. And hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully this new setup worked all right. Hopefully the sound was all right. When I tested it earlier, I tested it last night, it seemed well, so turned it up a little bit, and hopefully going forward, this will be a little bit better setup. And don't forget to tune in Saturdays at 3 or 3:30, where me and Adam Lowry go live from New Smyrna with our Pit Pass podcast. That's a little bit more in-depth show where we get to know the drivers. This is more of a recap, tell you all what's going on kind of show. So a lot of great things happening with our social media right now as we try to expand our horizons here at New Smyrna. And hey guys, listen, I appreciate you all tuning in. It's always great to see everybody here. And I'll be back next Tuesday, to recap what should be another great night of racing. And until then, my name is Ryan Stevens, and I enjoyed talking racing with you guys. I'll see you all next Tuesday. Have a great evening.